A new survey says consumers are hesitant to buy electric vehicles due to the lack of available charging stations. The FTC remains busy by going after tech companies Amazon and Microsoft, and Virtual World Second Life celebrates 20 years of existence. These stories and more coming up on this episode of Today in Tech. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Today in Tech. I'm Keith Shaw. The man behind the screens, as always, is Chris. Hello, Chris.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Let's just do a news roundup of some recent news that have been is interesting to me, at least. Tesla. We talked about this in our last episode, where they made a deal with GM. They've previously made a deal with Ford to expand their supercharger network. And now this week they've announced that Rivian Automotive has struck a deal to expand access of Tesla's fast chargers to drivers of its vehicles, further cementing the EV leader's dominance in the U.S. for owners looking to power up. The deal gives Rivian drivers access to more than 12,000 Tesla superchargers in the U.S. and Canada starting in 2024 using an adapter for Rivian's R1T and R1S models. Future Rivian models will incorporate Tesla's charging port configuration starting in 2025. Now, this is obviously, they've got agreements with Ford, GM, and now Rivian. So Tesla, it looks like this is going to become the standard. Would you agree with that, or do you think that there will be some sort of standard that everybody will follow? Because they're trying to get one sort of like one plug type of a thing. Or is it going to be like the charging ports for phones, where you're going to have two different standards?
I think there might be a couple different standards. I think a lot of people are adopting, Elon Musk's charging port, just because, there's so many Tesla chargers around, right?
And that's the advantage of being first mover. But if you're one of those interoperability types of people, and there's a lot of us in the tech space, we're like, let's just get everything working together and then worry about it later, as opposed to, just dominate the field and everyone will have to come to you. And that's what this one feels like.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to push, EVs, if you want to make EVs more accessible to people, you got to get behind a standard. You just have to do it. And I think all these other companies are just biting the bullet, and they're like, I really don't like Elon, but
I know. I
don't like what he says. I don't like his Twitter account.
I don't like
but you know what?
Twitter. He's yelling all the time. Yeah,
we're gonna have to go with his charging port. So I think it's good.
I mean, is this similar to sort of what Apple did with its Lightning charging port?
Yeah, it's pretty similar.
You don't use it on your Google phone. You still is it USB-C at this point?
It's USB-C.
Yeah. So it seems like there's a USB-C charging standard, and then there's a Lightning, and of course, Apple could change its mind again and then do Lightning 3 or something like that, and then make everybody buy new cables. I don't see that happening in the EV space, at least.
No, definitely not in the EV space.
But it's weird. It's weird to think of something with cars where, what if we had to go to a gas station and we would have to go to a specific pump, for the gas pump. That just blows my mind that might happen with the EV chargers.
Yeah, I mean, because it's a completely different beast, right? Like with gasoline, it's a nozzle.
Yeah.
Right? And you're pouring a liquid into your tank. Where EV, it's like, you got to have the right outlet, It's like whenever you go to Europe, you have to have the European
yeah, exactly.
Adapter.
Of course, we've never gotten a full worldwide standard on regular electric ports. So maybe I shouldn't expect sort of one port, one type of charging port.
Yeah, I mean the electrical. I can't remember the exact details, but it's a different frequency in Germany and Europe.
Yeah,
but yeah,
it just shows you how often. I've only been over to Europe once, and it was England, and so I don't think it was even before we had all of these devices that needed charging,
right?
Because it was in the early part of 2002, and so I don't even think I had a cell phone at that point, or if I did, I wasn't using it because I was with my wife, so we didn't need to contact anybody.
Yeah.
Okay, so the reason that I think I wanted to talk about this too leads to sort of my next part within the EV space. JD Power came out with a study last week that basically says that action is needed to keep charging from short-circuiting EV purchase consideration. So they do this regular survey about attitudes on whether or not you're going to buy an EV at some point, and So now we're at 26% of shoppers say that they are very likely to consider purchasing an EV, but that's only up 2% from last year. It was at 24% last year. So they're saying that the small bump in terms of interest, and you would think that with all of the coverage and all of the growth of EVs, that you would see a bigger jump. But, basically there are some positives and negatives in terms of the reasons why people might not be as excited about EVs. And, lower gas prices probably cause people to think, okay, well, I don't have to make that jump to EV. Inflation, it's now more expensive to buy one of these cars. Rising interest rates, same thing. Greater model availability is a positive. So like now they've got a bunch of different models out there, but then charging availability is the last one. And so this is a great quote, which proves the point that we've been talking about on the show in past episodes. Quote, with all of these influences shaping today's EV market, the biggest friction point for consideration is the availability of public chargers, said Stuart Stropp, executive director of EV intelligence at JD Power. The growth in public charging is not keeping pace with the rising number of EVs on the road. While owners are impressed by what automakers are offering, they're also thinking about how, when, and where they'll be able to charge their vehicles away from home. A resounding effort to build out and improve the public charging infrastructure will emphatically increase EV purchase consideration. Nearly half of the shoppers that were surveyed of this said that they rejected the idea of buying an EV. They said their primary reason that they don't want one is a lack of charging station availability. And charging availability has been the top reason for this rejection since the inception of the study in 2021.
I'd even go further and add on to that and be like, it's not just about like charging locations and the accessibility to that, but I'd even say like charging time.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah.
I think that would be the biggest.
Can you, think? I don't know how much, I don't know. I would not, I'm going to say right now, I don't know what the answer is on this, but can you increase the speed at which something recharges?
Yeah, I believe you can.
Okay.
I'm trying to think.
Safely, I guess, would be the next.
No, I'm trying to think what Tesla's charging time is. It's like maybe like 30 minutes, 45 minutes fully charged on a supercharger, maybe 25, 35 minutes, something like that. I think. Take that with a grain of salt. But, I mean, it boils down to accessibility and ease of use. Do people want to give up their gasoline-powered cars where it only takes you, 4 or 5 minutes for you to fully fill up?
Right.
Over a EV where you have to wait a long time. You gotta plan out your driving range and location, right? Whereas with gasoline, you don't think about it.
Right.
And I think it's going to take a really long time for EVs to fully take over the same way, gasoline powered cars are.
And and I haven't seen any sort of like gas stations or places where you get gas now. I haven't seen a lot of them change over or even add EV. Like the EV charging stations are all in different locations.
Right.
That are not very friendly to have other. They're not really thinking this through. Of like, all right, if this owner has to be here for 30, 40 minutes, can we offer them something to do? That's why like they're at malls, for example. There's a bunch of Tesla ones at a local mall, but the charging stations are way back in the park. You have to walk.
Right.
It's almost like you have to walk 30 minutes to the mall and then come back.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, okay, we look at gas pumps today, right? You're not going to see electric. You're not going to see chargers in gas stations for one. That's not going to happen.
Why do you think that?
It's a real estate issue, right? If you can we get by putting one EV charger at a gas station? No. Heck no. Think about it.
Because the car would be sitting there for 30 minutes and no one else would be able to use it? Or is it something else?
Exactly. Well, it's that, and it also takes up space. That car now takes up a slice of real estate for X amount of time.
Right.
Think about it.
Right. And when you're talking about gas, you get like gas, pump up, new car, but gas, fill up, next car, gas, fill up, next car.
Think about the turnover. The turnaround, I don't know, turnover or turnaround time of a gas pump, like I said, is 4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah,
6-8 minutes if you got a big truck, right? I don't know. It's really, really quick. So if you start adding EV electrical chargers to gas stations, that's not going to work. You're going to have your own plot of land for EVs because you got to think about it. Those cars are going to have to sit there for a longer period of time, and they're going to take up space. So it's crazy to think. It's crazy to think about.
I think
how they can.
Yeah, I think the initial rush of where people were when they were buying a lot of EV cars was, I want to use it for my work commute or whatever. I just want to use it to get to work. I'll
Right.
recharge it when I get home. So it's just used for that purpose. It's like
Exactly.
go to work with a full tank of charge and then come back with, and then if then recharge and then you're back the next day. So what's happening now is people are saying, well, now I want to use the same vehicle and do a road trip or vacation or some other longer trip, whether it's, go to grandma's on the holidays and you're 2 to
Right.
3 hours away from grandma's house. And now they're realizing, well, the infrastructure is not there to do these
It's just going to
longer
become
field
harder
trips.
to do.
There was a quote in this JD Power press release. Quote: most EV owners will say charging is one of the greatest benefits of ownership because 85% of it is done at home. But it's the exceptional use case, like a vacation road trip, that's holding shoppers back. Proactively taking ownership of the public charging experience is a huge opportunity for automakers to differentiate. The recent announcements by Ford and GM to establish a charging collaboration with Tesla are particularly noteworthy. So.
I mean, even not just vacation, but it's like, okay, I today's Saturday. I got to run a bunch of errands. I got to go to Boston, then I got to go to Rhode Island to do a shoot.
Yeah.
And then I got to come back home. Will that be enough? Will I have enough of a charge to do all that? And
if you didn't, like, so let's say you have a combustion engine vehicle, so you've got a gas car. You could see how much you have left. And then you were like, well, now do I have to build in a stop at a gas station, knowing that it's only going to take about 5 to 10 minutes.
Right.
But now if I'm low on charge, I guess in theory you'd be starting at home, so you wouldn't be necessarily low on charge.
Yeah, no, you'd start, fully charged, but again, throughout the day,
if you were doing a lot of trips and it was that 300-mile,
Right.
sort of.
Right.
Yeah, I think last week I drove up to New Hampshire and the place we were going to was 2 hours away. 2 hours up, 2 hours back. That's 4 hours. It was,
Wow.
I used up about half of my gas tank, but I had to fill up the gas tank before I go. So there was only like 30 miles left.
Yeah.
But I knew that it was not going to take a long time. If I had an EV and did the same trip, then it might have been like, I don't know, I'll have to find a charging port somewhere, perhaps.
I think we're just way off on this. I think we're way off.
I just think we're way off.
Because-
I think you'll see more charging stations, but not this concept that we have of what are we going to do when we recharge these things.
I'm way off to the point where it really only takes 5 minutes to fully charge a car. I'm way off.
okay,
There's
that's where you were
thousands
going.
and thousands and thousands of chargers.
I thought you were saying we're way off on increasing the number of
No,
charging
no,
stations
no.
out there, because I think that's going to happen. That should and that should maybe cause people. And again, if the price ever does come down for more affordable mainstream users,
Right.
maybe we'll see that as well. So again, I like to see stories that sort of validate some of the questions that we have on the show. At least that makes me feel good, right? And hopefully it makes you feel better.
Yeah, because I think there's a lot more aspects of EV cars that, again, I don't think a lot of people are thinking about.
Yeah.
And it's good.
And
Just
then-
like
yeah,
you said,
and-
it's good to see other people.
And there is still the
about
big question about how much usage of the electrical grid will all of these cars take up. So maybe a slowdown in adoption will help us get the infrastructure improvements we need for the electrical grid.
Right.
Because that's the last thing I want is that, we're coming up into summer months. I don't want to have to face a brownout in my kind of area because so many cars are charging.
Right, right. I keep getting those notifications on my Nest thermostat to opt into this energy saving program.
Okay.
And I think California did something very similar. And it basically gave California the right to shut off your AC. And I'm like, I'm going to opt out any sort of program like that because it's my AC. I want it on when I want it on. I don't want anybody else to shut it off. So
So Nest was asking you for permission to basically shut off your AC if it determined that the grid was being overtaxed. Do you think that's what it was?
maybe yes, maybe no. But
Yeah.
it reminded me of the program that California had.
Right.
Where you can opt into this energy saving program, and it basically gave the federal, state government, whatever, the right to, when they're going through brownouts or blackouts, to shut off your AC during like certain hours of the day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no.
Air
No, I'm not
conditioning.
gonna-
Air conditioning is one of those technologies that I get really selfish about. Like I'm all in favor of sort of working together as a human race to sort of better the world, except when it comes to air conditioning.
Well, hey, that's
I
why we
want-
have solar panels, right? And those windmill things, right? That powers my AC at home.
My AC ends up somehow being so used that basically I open up the freezer door and just stand in front of it for a while and hope like that.
The freezer ends up being warmer than the temperature in your house.
And then I'm using so much power to power the freezer that it becomes a wash at the end.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's move on to the FTC. They've been really busy recently. There's this whole Microsoft Activision thing, and I'm going to get into that. But first, the big news was that the FTC is suing Amazon over its manipulative tactics that are basically used to enroll millions in Amazon Prime. This was pretty big news. I know that when we first started talking about this, you were a little hesitant to want to talk about this, but after I went through the complaint and saw what they were doing, the initial stories did not say exactly what they were doing, but when you read the complaint, and a lot of it's redacted like you wouldn't believe, like half of the story you can't even understand because it's all redacted, and so. That's weird that the FTC would do that, probably because it's revealing some Amazon trade secrets that it doesn't want out there. But basically, the FTC sued Amazon.com this week, alleging that the retail giant worked for years to enroll customers without consent into Amazon Prime and made it difficult to cancel their subscriptions to the program. Basically, they're alleging that Amazon has duped millions of customers into enrolling in Amazon Prime, which is a $139 annual subscription service with more than 200 million members worldwide, which has helped Amazon become an integral part of many American households' shopping habits. I'm going to say right up front, we have Amazon Prime for all of the benefits of the free shipping, the 1 day, 2 day free shipping. In addition, you get Amazon Prime Video. There's some other like Music Unlimited. There's some other benefits that you get. Like I'm not a PC gamer, but every month I get free PC games and free PC gaming add-ons for those if I was playing those, but I don't take advantage of those benefits. I have considered dropping it because I feel like sometimes I don't use Prime Video as much as I used to. But then my roadblock is not Amazon preventing me from canceling. My roadblock is sort of my family telling me no. They like, especially my wife. She likes the free shipping availability, and I think but that's not part of this complaint. So there's two parts of the complaint I want to go over. The first part was basically saying that Amazon was using sort of some design and user interface trickery to get people to sign up for if you did not belong to Amazon Prime, okay, and you were trying to buy something, it'll bring you to screens that will forcefully go, hey, sign up for this free trial of Prime. Hey, look how cool this is. Here's all the things you can get from it. And basically making them click a bunch of different times, no thanks, no thanks, no thanks, before they would let you check out. And then some things on the mobile phones or even, where they hide things, and they were making it really hard to basically opt out of it and entice you to sort of unknowingly click a button that then automatically subscribes you to the service. So that's the first part. That's the one where they're saying they're tricking people into subscribing. Now, the second half of that is more interesting to me, at least, which is if you want to cancel, it sends you through like a 14-page web page, sort of clicking in, click fest of amazing different like steps, and it keeps going like, are you sure it's almost like, are you sure you want to quit? Are you sure you want to quit? Are you sure you want to quit? And then eventually you can find it if you have the patience. And the way that Amazon calls this the Iliad, which is a reference to, the long Trojan War, the poem by Homer. And it does feel like a slog that you're going through. I'm trying to bring up the complaint because
I have it right here.
Do you have the FTC complaint?
Yep,
oh, go ahead.
The Iliad flow. So for years, Amazon made it easy to enroll in Prime with 1 or 2 clicks, but created a 4-page, 6-click 15 option cancellation process known internally as the Iliad flow.
Right.
So they're like you said, it's very easy to sign up in one click.
Yep.
It's very hard to opt out, and I think it's a pretty low tactic on Amazon's part. But it got me thinking that I feel like a lot of services in general bank on the individual forgetting to cancel
Yeah.
their service.
Yeah.
Because it's like when you're enrolled in a service and you use it every so often, once in a while, you kind of forget about it, right?
Yeah, and there are apps. I've seen like ads for apps, and this is usually designed at millennials and maybe Gen Zers that, use their phone for everything. So it's a phone app that will then check all of the different subscriptions that you have and will remind you which ones you have and let you cancel through those. So the fact that they have created apps to allow you to cancel a subscription shows sort of the world that a lot of these things are really difficult to cancel.
Well, it's the type of, I guess you could call it like the type of economy that we're in. It's like, right? We're all a subscription-based economy now.
Yeah.
Everything's a subscription, right? So it just goes to show like, yeah, I pay X amount of dollars a month for water delivery. I pay X amount of dollars a month for a clothing delivery. My cat litter that I get delivered to the house is on a subscription base, right, for our cats.
Would
everything's on a
Would you
subscription.
find that that you could cancel it if you didn't have the cat anymore?
Oh yeah, sure. It's we get it from Chewy, Chewy.com.
Right.
But I'm actually surprised that it's this difficult to opt out on the Amazon Prime. We have Amazon Prime. We've never thought about canceling it, but so I've never had to go through the cancellation process. But again, I'm just surprised at how lengthy it is. Wow.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the actual. So this was like to cancel via the Iliad flow. A consumer had to first locate it, which Amazon makes difficult. Consumers could access the Iliad flow from Amazon.com by navigating to the Prime Central page, which consumers could reach by selecting the Account and Lists drop-down menu, reviewing the third column of drop-down links Amazon presented, and selecting the 11th option in the third column, Prime Membership. This takes you to the Prime Central page. And then, like, you're not even close to being done at that point. You can also get there by contacting customer service, which is funny because I have no idea how to connect to Amazon customer service by phone. I don't even think that good luck trying to find a phone number there.
Right.
You can also do it by typing in cancel membership in the search bar. This produced an Alexa answer that included an end your Amazon Prime membership link. Yeah, I'm just trying to, they actually describe the flow and I want to read that on the air. End membership, I think, is the... Okay, here it is. To complete the Iliad flow and cancel a Prime membership, this is according to the FTC, the consumer needs to click a minimum of 6 times from Amazon.com. Prime Central, manage membership, end membership, continue to cancel, end now. So those are all the buttons that you have to find, and those are all web pages. And meantime, when you've got those 6 pages coming up, they keep going. Are you sure this is it's like a you're trying to break up with someone, and they go, but look at all the good times we had together, and look at what you're going to be missing out if you end this relationship. Like you won't, you're not going to get, Valentine's Day gifts, or I don't know. I've never experienced that sort of like needy sort of
breakup.
I've been pretty lucky, mainly because I'm not a player, so I kept myself. Except with my wife, of course. So, again, 6 steps, and then every time they'll just be like, "But are you sure? You sure you don't want to do this? We love you so much. We'll do all this stuff for you." And it's like, yeah, 6 steps is probably too much.
Right.
Like you could be like, "Are you sure? Here's everything you're going to get," and then if you say, "Yeah, I'm sure," just cancel it. And in fact, there are websites out there. Like again, same thing. I just canceled Apple TV, for example, because Ted Lasso's over. I didn't find any other content that I was interested in. I was like, I don't want to pay $10 a month or even higher just for this if I'm not going to be watching it. So I canceled, and instead of trying to navigate through the website to do it, I just typed in how to cancel Apple TV, and Google will give you the search, and they'll say, this is what, here's the button to push, here's the page to do it on. And again, they're taking advantage of so many other people typing the same stuff in. Like, just write an article, show me how to do it.
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, Amazon obviously said, they have the right to basically try to use tactics to try to keep customers. And obviously a 7-step thing, it must be working to get these people frustrated and not cancel. But we will be monitoring this to see, if they have an agreement with them. Meanwhile, the FTC they started up the Microsoft, Activision, Blizzard, I want to say the injunction hearing. This is going to be a 5-day hearing. It just started today, so we don't know exactly how this is going to end. But the judge in the case is allowing for 5 days to hear from experts about whether this merger should go through. And we've talked about this in terms of like Call of Duty was the big sort of driving point, and whether that's going to be allowed for cloud. And you've got people on the other side saying that if this merger is allowed, then Activision will basically be, Microsoft will be allowed to prevent Sony PlayStation players from playing certain games, including Call of Duty and this whole imagined cloud gaming future. I am not rooting for Microsoft in this, and it's because I have a Sony PlayStation, and we've already seen evidence of this. The big exclusive big video game that's coming out later this year is Starfield, which is by the people from Bethesda, which made Elder Scrolls.
Yeah.
Right. Skyrim.
Fallout.
Right. I love those games. Love those games. Played them all the time. And now I can't play Starfield because it's an Xbox exclusive. So I now have to go buy an Xbox. Whereas before Microsoft bought Bethesda, they would have, Bethesda would have released it on all the platforms, and I would have been able to play it. And it's weird because during the testimony for that purchase, everyone was like, "Oh no, we'll be fine. We'll be making games for." And then as soon as the deal closed, they announced, "Oh yeah, Starfield and then Elder Scrolls 6, which would be the next one, will be Xbox exclusives." So and again, Microsoft is like, "Why would we want to screw out a potential customer base?" It's like, yeah, because you want people to buy the hardware. Right. And so I don't know why more people aren't talking about this, because again, Activision Blizzard, they've already got Call of Duty. That's the biggest one. You've played it. You play Call of Duty.
Yep.
You and I just started. I started playing Diablo 4. That's a Blizzard game. And so if they ever come out with Diablo 5, jury's still out on that based on our experience with Diablo 4. That could be an exclusive. I'm not happy about that. I don't know. We'll find out next week after the testimony comes out. It is the beginning stages of that. But Sony even announced, you don't have a story on this, but there was an article by IGN that basically said Sony is not going to share PlayStation 6 plans with Activision if this deal goes through. And again, it makes common sense. Like, why would they? Why would they give detailed information about?
They're now direct. They're going to be direct competitors.
Yeah. So
two things.
Yeah.
Two things.
I need you to get more riled up about this, Chris, as a gamer.
I'll try. I'm not a fan of gaming as a service, which is the route Xbox and several other games are going down. Gaming as a service,
like cloud gaming idea.
Horrible idea. No, it's the idea that you can put out you can create a game, develop a game, and it comes out half baked.
Yep. With
the expectation that you're going to get regular updates to then finish the game.
Right.
It's horrible idea.
Right.
Shouldn't be like that.
Right.
2, Microsoft needs this because they just increased their price of the Battle Pass. Not the Battle Pass.
Game Pass.
Game Pass.
Yeah.
Sorry, Game Pass. So
and their hardware too.
And their hardware. So they kind of need this because if they're getting fully behind the gaming as a service, you're going to need the content to fulfill the subscribers of that service. So as much as I hate gaming as a service, I think Microsoft needs this. And obviously I'm not a fan of Microsoft doing this, same as you. I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
I'm a Sony fanboy. So Yeah, I mean, we'll have to keep an eye on it.
I
I
just-
haven't been following it that much.
I hate the idea that they're making consumers choose. And a lot of people are saying that this is just going to turn into a Microsoft versus Sony, like a Xbox versus PlayStation thing again. And I thought
mean, it's always been like that.
I thought we were over that for a while. And the PS5 came out, and then the Xbox One came out, and PS5 like kicked butt.
Well, don't forget, in the middle you got PC, right? Which is basically Xbox, but
that's always like the PC is like the cousin that always thinks that they're better than everybody else, and they probably are.
they are. Yeah, no, they definitely are.
So, yeah, I usually ignore all of the PC people because they're always trying to get me. And it's like, I just don't have the time and energy and money to spend on a really good gaming PC.
Yeah.
You and I are playing Diablo 4 together. I'm playing on my PS5 and you're playing on your PC. I don't think I could get into the whole mouse keyboard sort of thing again.
You'd be surprised. It's not that bad.
I don't know. I think my fingers would cramp up too much. Whereas with a controller, I don't know. I don't get as crampy. There's a word for you. So we'll be kind of keeping track of that stuff as well. Let's move on to stuff that's going on in Silicon Valley. They are finding that they have many, many, many vacant offices. And again, we think this is because of companies that are not coming back to work into the office. Silicon Valley companies are dumping office space at an accelerating pace as tech leaders such as Google and Facebook parent Meta Platforms are closing locations and reassessing their commitments to the workplace. Office vacancy rates in Silicon Valley, which includes the Northern California communities of San Jose, Palo Alto, and Sunnyvale, were up to 17% empty in June, and this is up from 11% in 2019. In some spots, such as Menlo Park and Mountain View, the rates surpassed 20% this spring. It's also below what's available in San Francisco, where the vacancy rate has more than tripled from 2019 to more than 25%. I think the San Francisco issue is probably more than just sort of the return to work timed up thing or the remote worker hybrid work issue that's going on. I think they've got some issues with the homeless and other sorts of deals there. So, but in the San Jose Silicon Valley area. Again, this is proving, I think, why there are so many companies that are sort of pushing towards this return to work mandate. They're sugarcoating it with a lot of other issues that we've talked about, and in terms of collaboration, communication between workers, younger workers needing on-the-job training and mentorship and all that, and those are fine. But I think the underlying truth is that because CFOs are walking around the office and they're seeing empty spaces and they're going, we got to get people back here because it just doesn't make a sense from a financial perspective.
It doesn't. Yeah. But to kind of branch off of what you said, I think it, there is the aspect of returning to the office where you kind of need that in person.
You do.
Communication, right? Especially if you're hiring new people coming on the job, you're gonna have to train them, and I think it's a lot harder to do it remote.
I think if you took a pie chart and you listed out the reasons, and you were being completely honest with people, you can have a list of five reasons why we want you to why I'm a boss and I want you back in work. I could give you a list of 5 reasons. A collaboration, the bottom list parts of the list, the little bullet points, it's all the touchy-feely, we want you to be better, we want to be more productive, we want collaboration, we want a mentor. The reason that is the top reason is because we're losing a lot of money by not being here. It's real estate costs.
Yeah, it's
we're paying, if you were paying money for a house that you didn't live in,
and you're not renting it out.
And you're not renting it out.
You're losing money.
And you're not subleasing. You would feel like you're wasting money. If you buy a car that you're not using, you're wasting money. But I think for a CFO or a CEO to say that, the employees, would be like,
well, it's not their problem.
That's not my problem. And again, if you've got a large office space and half of it's empty, you try to sublease the rest of it, or and there's and they're probably trying, but the market's probably not there because you've got every company is probably experiencing the same issue, right?
No, exactly. I think it's gonna, like, for CEOs, for, you know, starting from now and I don't know, the next, you know, the rest of the year, they're gonna have to start making the tough decisions.
I think that they're tired of biting the bullet.
Right. They need to start making the tough decisions of, okay, either we're going to be fully remote or you're going to do a hybrid.
Yeah,
2-3 days a week, and that's it, and stick with it.
Yeah.
You know, don't leave it open to kind of like a free for all where the employees can do whatever they want.
You don't want that, I don't think.
Yeah, no.
But I think that they do need to make a final decision on pick a number of days. Because it's weird, because we're seeing, this is the other story, was that a small but growing list of big name companies are now taking their return to office mandates, they're kicking it up a notch, and now they're demanding for 4 day a week. They're basically saying, all right, well, you can work at home 1 day a week, but we want you back and it's probably you should now be here Monday through Thursday, is my assumption.
Yeah.
Because it does feel like you would get more work done on a Monday than you would on a Friday. Based on some other conversations and interviews we've done on shows here before, it does feel like that there's a 2 to 3, you know, it's either 2.5, 3 days is the average. But some of these companies, BlackRock, Walt Disney, Chipotle, are basically now trying to test to see whether or not they'll get any blowback or backlash if they mandate 4. Let's see, BlackRock has said employees must be in the office 4 days a week starting in September, following nearly 2 years of mandating 3 days on site. Snap Incorporated, top law firms have also broken ranks to require 4 days. JP Morgan Chase has ordered managing directors back to the office 5 days a week. So, like, that's it. No more for JP Morgan Chase.
I think that's good.
Bankers.
I think it's good. Because, again, I think there are benefits to being able to work in person that I think a lot of people are dismissing for the fact that, I save an hour a day in my productivity by not commuting. Or I save money on gas.
Yeah.
But I think we're dismissing a lot of aspects of being in person.
Yeah.
We really are. And I think, I'm trying to remember, there was an article we found, I think last week or the week before.
The health benefits?
Yes.
Yeah.
The health benefits.
People aren't walking as much.
You're not walking as much. The mental strain that it puts on you.
Like, they're finding a lot of loneliness.
Stuff like that. Yeah. Like, it actually does have an effect on you. And I think we're dismissing all of this over the benefit of just saving an hour or 2 a day.
And I think I asked you this question before. Would you like to go back to a full 5 day a week sort of plan? You've given me the analogy. It's like we've been giving everybody a bunch of candy. And now we're trying to take that candy away in the form of, work at home. You know, it's like, everyone go work at home. And now we're trying to take the candy away from the baby or take that treat away. Would you be able to sort of then go cold turkey on this and just say, all right, everyone back 5 days a week? Or is an ultimatum like that force then the employee to go, well, screw you, I'll go look for another job, and that there were all of those issues as well.
No, I think the best way to go about it, and this is my opinion, I think the best way is to meet in the middle.
Yep.
Right? Just meet in the middle. I'd say, at max 3-4 days a week.
I would say
required to go in.
Yeah.
And depending on your job, if it can be done fully remote, then okay, maybe 2 days a week. I don't know. So try to meet in the middle. Because again, trying to make people, go back to school after they've had a week off of snow days.
Yeah.
Right. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult. And we should have thought about this from the beginning. With the whole reason why we started, obviously because of the
COVID.
Because of COVID, yeah. Right? But we really should have thought about this when we collectively made this decision about the working from home thing.
Yeah, I think that you can do this as long as you sort of stick to your guns on this. And so one of the things that bothers me is when a company might say, all right, well, we're going to come back like this, the sort of the tortoise and the hare thing. Like someone's like slow and steady. Sorry. So we're like, all right, we're going to mandate 1 day a week. And they tell their employees that. And then the employees are like, okay, that's okay. But then like 3 months later, they go, yeah, we really want you here 2 to 3 days a week or 2 days a week. And 3, now we're seeing companies like, we really want you back 4. That to me sounds from the employee standpoint. It was like, well, how do I trust you? Like, why don't you just make the decision and then stick to it for a year?
Exactly. You need to just Just make the decision. Rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah.
Okay, rip the Band-Aid off. Make a decision. All those companies, what was it, Disney, BlackRock, whatever, who
Yeah.
are mandating, okay, look, in order for us to function at 100% capacity, we need to be in the office because things can get done
Right.
quicker, snappier. Our communications line are going to be much clearer. There's going to be less miscommunication. In order to do that, we need to be in the office.
Right.
Good,
But
props
this-
to Bob Iger and whoever is making the decision
Yeah.
to go back to the office.
Yeah.
Like, good on them. Like, really.
So I'm not a fan of sort of this sort of slow approach of like eventually steady. That's like the whole pot of that's like the frog in the pot of water where you're slowly boiling them versus just dumping them in. Wow, that metaphor just went completely wrong.
Right.
Okay. The other thing that bothers me, and this is so let's say you've now strongly suggested, and you could call it a mandate, whatever. You're suggesting that people work 3 days in the week, 3 days at the office. The other problem that comes up is then managers and individual sort of employees and managers start making deals with each other. And they're like, so then you see a deal made between, so not me, but it's like, so I have a coworker, and then they're allowed to now only come in 2 days a week or only one because they have X, Y, and Z. Now, if X, caring for a sick parent, and again, I'm not being heartless here. I'm just giving examples of like they start making deals based on their personal relationship, and I'm not sort of in favor of that either because
Well, they shouldn't do that.
That builds
We shouldn't do
resentment
that.
on my end.
Right.
And I felt this when I was younger too. When we didn't have kids, it's like you would see companies be like, "Oh, allow Joe to leave early so that he can go take his kids to a soccer game." And I didn't understand that as a younger person with no kids. But then once I had kids, I totally understood it. So
Right,
it's like,
right.
yeah, it's that work-life balance thing. I get that. But I think that maybe in this case, you sort of need a policy that's like, okay, we're all in this together. This is what we're going to do. There will be outliers, but for the most part, we're going to do our best to try to be here at all, at a number of times.
we
Or just reward the people that come in.
yeah, give us gas money. Give us whatever, a stipend, stipend on our paycheck. Give us some gas money. But think about this. When we all started our corporate jobs, right?
Yeah.
We've signed policies in agreeing to the statement that you need to have a car and you need to be able to drive to your job. We've all had that. It's in most jobs.
Employee handbooks type of thing.
Pre-pandemic, right?
Yeah.
Pre-pandemic. Whenever you signed up for your job, there's some portion there being like, you must be willing to come into the office, must be able to drive, must have a car, blah, 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 right? The problem that we're going to run into now, okay, and this is me trying to like think in the future here, is all the people who have decided to move to other states.
Right.
Where if your company now comes out and says, hey, you're required to come in X amount of days, and let's say you live an hour and a half, 2 hours away, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
What are you going to do? Buy an EV?
No, they're either going to have to, either find another job or
Or just suck it up.
drive the 2 hours to work. I don't know. I mean, that's every company that's going to be dealing with that.
It is. It's going to be every company.
But then say you allow some of those employees to be remote. How do you then give some sort of positive feedback or I don't say bonus, but positivity towards the people that are commuting and that they are coming in? And again, maybe it's just we'll reimburse you for gas money, or we'll get a better food option for you at work.
Yeah.
We'll bring back the snacks and the drinks. I don't know if people are thinking that yet. I don't see that as much
if
as
they
should.
really wanted to attract people to come back to the office,
Yeah.
just get some food trucks on the lot. That's all it takes. Just some food trucks, weekly.
Food trucks, water slides, games, toys.
Just food trucks, Keith. Just food trucks. That's all we
A
need.
PlayStation 5, an Xbox with Call of Duty on it.
Maybe.
Yeah, I'm trying to tie all of our topics together.
Food trucks.
All right, so last topic, and I know that you're a big fan of the metaverse. Did you know, and I did not know this when I saw this, but apparently, so this week, hundreds of thousands of people are expected to congregate with their avatars in Second Life to celebrate the pioneering virtual world's 20th birthday. All right, when I saw this article, the first thing I said was, I didn't realize Second Life was still around.
What is it?
You are younger. So this is one for the olds out there. This is for all of the people that remember Second Life from 20 years ago. This was the big sort of virtual world. You create an avatar. You can do all of these different things. They have creator tools that let you build whatever you want. And this was like the metaverse 20 years ago. This was, you know how everyone jumped on board to this idea of the metaverse when Mark Zuckerberg changed the name of Facebook to Meta and all this. Remember all of the people going, metaverse is the future. This is the first inclination of that. It was called Second Life. It was basically a computer program. I think it's now an app. I think you can download it. I don't know. I haven't been around for 19 years.
This was before they before they chopped the legs off of the avatars.
So people were creating avatars. So business got into this in the weirdest way. Like they were like, okay, there was this assumption that everybody was going to be here, and businesses started opening up their own kiosks in the world, and they started holding press events and press conferences and things like that. And that completely went off the rail when people started creating like avatars that look like penises, and it was just totally inappropriate, rude behavior, which is what happens when anything happens online in the internet. Like, you're like, oh, you're going to allow us to do this? I'm going to create the stupidest thing and the most offensive thing and ruin your virtual Second Life press conference. That's what happened. And everyone in the corporate world looked at it and going, this is stupid. Why should we do this? This is dumb. And we saw the same thing happen, I think, in the metaverse, where people went online and they said, well, this is dumb. People aren't going to do it. And so, but I'm amazed that it's still around. Like that they did find a audience base that spends money on some of this stuff. There are people that create digital avatars and fashions and different things. And, again, it's like any other sort of niche type hobby. If you get enough people that are of like minds to do it, you can sustain some sort of economy, but it never became this mass thing. Like it never got to the point of Ready Player One. Like it never did that. And one of the things that did take off more was Roblox. And again, I know you don't follow Roblox, but it's more of like a kid-friendly version of this, where it's like you can play games, you can meet, you can have creator tools. There's all of these different parts of Roblox. Now, my kids are teenagers now, but they started playing Roblox when they were preteens. And I've watched it and I've monitored that stuff in terms of what they can do, and they do a really great job of limiting, sort of offensive content and things like that. But they just announced that they are now allowing creators to develop mature content for users that are ages 17 and up. So they announced that this week because I think what they realized was that all of the people that started Roblox probably when they were younger are now getting to that age group where they now are older. So they're now in their late teens or their early 20s, and they're like, well, we don't want to play this game anymore. So if you don't provide me with content of things that I want to play, I'm going to leave and go do something else. And so it's interesting that Roblox is allowing for this. Now, in order to play sort of the mature content, the users are going to have to upload a selfie of themselves and and then show a photo ID that shows their age. So
wow, that's pretty stringent.
A stringent
requirements.
Well,
right?
Yeah, I mean, more so than sort of like, they can't require a credit card because I think most people, people that age might not have a credit card, or at least the 17 and 18-year-olds. So, in terms of the age verification. So
right. I meant to say strict, not stringent, but strict. You
think that's really strict, you think?
A little bit, yeah. Well, I mean, think about it. Like typically to verify whether you're old enough, you just put your birth year, your day.
Right. And to sign up for Facebook, you just have to say that you're 13, but they don't ask you for proof.
Right. They're asking for actual
proof.
So.
Right. So, and that feels like it's going to be, and again, as part of the new experiences announced, older users will be able to view content that may contain some forms of violence, romantic themes, depiction of blood and alcohol, moderately crude humor, and unplayable gambling. I'm sure that you're going to see walking penises and walking boobs around, I'm sure, at some point. So
probably.
I don't know. I think it's interesting from a company's perspective of recognizing that your user base is getting older, and as your user base gets older, if you want to keep them, you have to sort of give them content that will keep them around.
You have to grow with your audience.
Otherwise, it's and again, you haven't experienced this yet, but you will with kind of kids TV programming, at some point your kids age out of it.
Right.
So, my kids watched a lot of the Wiggles and, all of those sort of like kid TV shows, and they have a shelf life of about 3 to 5 years. And now shows like that, they can there's always a built-in audience. There's always a new 3-year-old that will be able to watch your programming. So your base gets recycled. And I'm not sure if Roblox, maybe up until now, Roblox did say like, oh yeah, well, we'll just have new players come in and they'll experience it. But it's a different type of competition than it is with sort of like a kids TV show.
They go from Roblox to Call of Duty, and then from there they go to Diablo, and then Elden Ring is when they're a fully adult or a Souls game,
Spoken like a true hardcore gamer. They go from Roblox to Fortnite to Call of Duty.
Yep.
Or PUBG to Call of Duty.
Or Apex.
And then Diablo 4's in there somewhere.
Whatever. Elder Scrolls,
I haven't
true punishment.
Listen, I haven't even matured enough to go to Elden Ring and those Souls games. That you and I have different.
Your beard will grow fuller. Just saying.
All right. I'm gonna go home and play video games now.
Go do that.
All right. That's all the time we have for today's show. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, add any comments you have below. Tell us if you're a gamer or not. Do all that kind of stuff. Join us every week for new episodes of Today in Tech. I'm Keith Shaw. Thanks for watching.